Welcome once again to Let Us Farm page. My name is Emily Fonwell Oge of Let Us Farm. So today we are trying to look at a situation on how to stop early mortality in catfish farm. You may have noticed that sometimes when you stock your catfishes, they start dying. They start dying after a day or two, and it's a source of worry and concern. But however, we are not God, so we don't know what happens that takes life. But there are situations and there are solutions that we can apply to mitigate this from happening always. So, if you are joining me for the first time, this is Let Us Farm page, and all we do here is we try to provide practical solutions to our agri problem. If there's any need that you need to call me urgently, please do that on the WhatsApp line. Do not call me on the landline, please. I have many calls on that line, and this is not the only thing I do. So I wouldn't want to reject anybody's call for any reason. If you call me on the WhatsApp line, if I'm available to receive calls, I will surely receive your call, and I will surely make sure I provide you the necessary information to solving that your immediate challenges. So I will be right back to discuss this. Welcome back. So now, this particular issue is an issue that most farmers have seen, but there are many reasons that can cause fishes to die after you just stop them. Now, I have done video where I actually appeal to people to stop putting things in their pond. Some people, in the name of treating pond, you put poultry waste, put rabbit urine, put plantain leaf, a lot of things. The issue is that some of these things you put may actually drop some bacterial infections on the pond. It is correct. And when this happens, you won't know it is the life you introduce to the water that we know. When they pick up this contamination, they have problems. So it's always advisable to play safe. People always have arguments about using these things to fertilize, but I always try to make a clear example that truthfully, you can't fertilize cement, you can't fertilize rubber. So putting all those things there is wasting of time. It's just like you pouring water on a rock. The rock will never absorb the water, it will wash away. That is what you are doing. Some say they do it because they want to clear the odor. I have always maintained that if you want to clear odor, use detergent. We have many detergents that you can use that can help you to control odor. We have some washing this thing like hypo, jig, all these things that you use in washing white appliances. Use it and wash. Mix it with your detergent, use it and wash. They are very strong and they will help you to do these things. Allow the thing to dry. If it dries, the odor goes. It's never a problem. But most of us want to try things that sometimes it looks like it works, but that's not really what is working. So I always maintain those things that we use for preparation of pond before stocking may actually be the culprit. Because when you bring these fishes and you stock them and they did not die immediately you put them, they start dying after 2 3 days. It's just pure contamination issue. But when you put the fish today and you come out tomorrow morning and some of them die, this is actually a stress related issue, meaning that from where they came, they are stressed out, so they are just trying to balance. You see these mortalities. So, but if it doesn't happen that way and it now happens after 2 3 days, this could be related to contamination issue. And now, what are the best ways to treat this contamination issue? Now, remember, I have always said if you want to buy your fish, make sure you buy from a trusted source. So, if you buy from a trusted source, when this happens, you will rule out the fact that it is a contamination from the hatchery that you brought it from. Like I said, what you used to know if it is that hatchery immediately is that immediately you bring the fish, they start dying. This is purely from where it's coming from. So, but if it doesn't happen that way, the next thing you will notice is that maybe after 2, 3 days they start dying. Then this means that it is your own grounded situation. Now, the first treatment you have to do is change the water. Be it in eating pond or anywhere, once this happens, first thing that you do is change the water. So, after changing the water, we have many antibiotics that you can use. I'm not talking about human antibiotics. I'm talking about fish antibiotics. If you don't know any, you can ask me direct. I will tell you. The problem I have with giving out drugs and all this is that people abuse it, and I've maintained you don't need to bamboozle your catfish with drugs. Personally, I don't use drugs in the farm. This is what I want people to understand. You only use drug when situations are out of your hand. When you have applied the normal natural treatments and they don't work. Normal natural treatments, I did not say you should go and give herbs, not herbs. Normal natural treatment is water. Change your water. Because for your fish to die, it's contamination. And the first point of attack is change the water. Just like I'm saying it now, you change your water. So in a situation that after that you now notice that, oh, then that is when you now think of giving them antibiotics. And after that antibiotics, you will still make sure that you are still on that water change. But most people, the thing that used to cause their problem is that instead of changing the water, if you go and start pouring some herbs inside this water, now a water that is already contaminated that your fishes are having problem with, you now pour another herb inside. What you are doing is that you now jeopardize the condition of these fishes, which is already fragile, and more will still die. Result negative. So if you stock and this thing happens, follow these rules and you will be okay. Then there could be another rule that can still make fishes to die like that. Another rule is that you overstock a pond. For instance, now there are ponds that this pond will take 100 and you now put 500 fishes. Now, you will say that in where you brought it from, that they have over 3,000. But the secret that the man that hatches his fish doesn't tell you is that because those fishes are too much in the pond after hatching and up until the time of sales, what they do is that they run a water recycling system. That is, they change their water always to keep those fishes in top-notch health situation. Go and find out. In fact, most ponds will even buy aerator and put in their system so that the water keeps having oxygen, because they know that the amount of waste these things put inside a small pond is much. So when they put these things, they just try to break down those ammonia concentration in the pond to keep them alive. Apart from this aerator they use, they still change that water always. I've seen some people that say because they are using the aerator, you don't change water. You never know wetin go hit you, because if you do that, it will not still work to that level. That means you just want to jeopardize the living conditions of your fishes. So for you to be at a safer pace, you don't need to overstock, because management of an overstock pond is not easy. Like I said, people that hatch, this is the problem they face. But you who doesn't know all these things will think that, oh, yeah, I saw it in their pond, the fishes are too much. Why will you not tell me that my own is dying when my own is not even up to their own? But you don't know the level they go to keep their own. That is the disadvantage of you looking at what somebody is doing and want to do like that person without knowing the underground effort that keeps the person going. So overstocking is another thing, because when you overstock, they release their waste. This waste they release is what they keep taking. and this is what makes them to die like that. So in a situation of overstocking, you just have to intensify the situation of that water change always and provide another space for them. Immediately you provide, because most people that have had issue like this that talk to me and I discover is overstocking, immediately they reduce the thing stops. They're always like the magic, but it's not magic. It's just a simple thing that you followed what you're supposed to have done before that you did not do, and it will stop. So like I said, there we have many series of situations that can cause it. It could be overstocking that will make the water to be contaminated. Then it could be that the water is contaminated. And remember, like I said, one of the things that will make your water to be contaminated is the amount of waste that enters that pond. In a situation that is not it, it could be environmental change. For instance, now, if fishes were in a hatchery and that hatchery had a water pH that was very normal for the fish, and they get to your pond, and unfortunately the water pH in your pond is very high, automatically it becomes a shock to them. So that change will make them to die massively. So if you notice that and you try changing water to see what is the water situation and it's not water situation, they are still dying, test your water. It could be the water quality. And if the water quality, you have excess pH there, you now have another situation to contend. These are the main things that can cause the problem. And if it's in eating pond, it could be a leakage. People don't know that there are leakages in eating pond. There are leakages in eating pond because there are underground water leakages can come from anywhere. And if there is a leakage from underground, it could lead to this situation. It could contaminate the pond. Now, if it is an underground leakage, it's a big problem because it keeps leaking. But if it's not an underground leakage, it could be that something entered the pond, not you that threw it in. It could be from rainfall. If it's not rainfall that brought in acidic water, it could be that something entered the pond because it's a stagnant pond that water is not going out and it's not coming in. The thing entered the pond and contaminates the pond. Then you see some dying at that early stage. Like I said, first thing that you do, you change the water. So when you change the water, the toxic thing that is there that polluted that water would go, and you put in a fresh clean water from another source, there will be new lease of life. So these things are some variable things. There are many things that can cause that early stages of your fishes dying. But these I have highlighted are the few very important things that could be the reason why they are dying. And if you can apply what I have said, you will see that this mortality rate will stop. So is there anything I have said that you don't understand or you want me to explain more? Please drop in the comment section. And if you're having issues with your farm, simply do a 2 to 3 minutes video. Send it to 081 353 48909. And like I said, if you have any topic you want me to discuss, drop it in the comment section. And like I always say, keep farming. It's a way of life.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.